Let's see here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Lieutenant Stephen Rogers, and thank you for joining me and Tricia Flanagan here on Campaign for America. I have a special guest tonight that Tricia was able to obtain, and we're going to be hearing from him in a few minutes. And what we have to share with you folks, going to be riveting, going to be breaking news as far as I'm concerned. But first, I want to share with you a few things. First, I want to thank you. Your sharing of our broadcast has gone far and wide across the country. I just shared with Tricia Flanagan that our viewership has grown, probably quadrupled on Facebook, on YouTube, and now on Periscope. It's on Twitter now. So we're streaming live on all three social media platforms with more to come. Now, Tricia, you've said it several times, the reason why this may be happening, and it may be worthwhile sharing with new listeners what they are going to hear during a Campaign for America broadcast.
Yes, well, welcome everyone. Our audience is growing. As you said, Steve, we're so thrilled to have you on board. And I think that the reason for those numbers increasing exponentially as they are is that, this is the day and age where the mainstream media is failing in terms of their reporting of the truth. Sometimes as journalists, you have to report the facts as well as what you're hearing on the ground level. That's what we do. Between you and I, Steve, we've developed a repertoire of connections in a lot of arenas, and we report the firsthand news, but we also provide the in-depth analysis that sadly the mainstream media is not offering to viewers. So we're thrilled that we can lead the way. We're on the cutting edge, and the where we're going to go from here, the next steps are truly unlimited.
And speaking of the media, they have gone out of their way, and I'm going to particularly pick on the New Jersey media, the New Jersey print media. I don't watch any of the New Jersey television media, but the print media goes out of their way to disparage conservatives, goes out of their way to hurt conservatives. Make no mistake about this, folks. These people writing stories today, in particularly again New Jersey print media, some of them, maybe very few, they're good, they're legitimate. Most of them, they're not journalists. They're wannabes. They don't know how to write stories. They've grown up in a generation where everything is handed to them on a silver platter. And I don't know what they're teaching in journalism school, but I was always taught that a true journalist writes both sides of a story, gets their stories confirmed by more than two people, and then leaves it up to you, the people reading or listening to their stories, to draw a conclusion based on the facts, not the fantasy they present, but the facts that they present to the people. Tricia, we don't see that happening today at all. And again, we know it's happening across the country, but right here in New Jersey, it's a complete train wreck when it comes to the media.
Oh, you're exactly right. There's a full-on blackout in the media for reporting on the truth. And you're right that true journalism means reporting the whole story. And that's just not happening. In fact, there's some breaking news today about big tech. Facebook has just been filed suit against by 48 attorneys general in this country and the Federal Trade Commission. And that's because they've abused their media power. And that, I think, is going to be a tipping point. We're going to see more and more of this. We've been assaulted by the mainstream media in that blackout of truth. And it's our honor and our privilege to fill that gap, to make sure that we are the news now and that you get what you need to know as a viewer.
So the media needs to know that we know, because they don't want us to know, but we know because we do have other sources, that when it comes to polling, hey, look, we'll agree with you, the media, that the US Congress has very, very low bargain basement polling numbers. But you, the media, has polling numbers lower than them. I mean, how low can you go? 9% of the American people trust the media, only 9%. So when the media starts talking about the trash talk against the president, against good grassroots Americans working hard and trying to support conservative values, well, I'll tell you what, people that have a 9% rating, favorable rating, I'll tell you what, you guys and gals need to find a new job, because you're going to be out of work soon anyway. You're going to be out of work soon because of what we see happening in the state of California, what we see happening here in New Jersey. And look, I always talk about the bookends of America, California and New Jersey. They're two good buddies. Governor Newsom over there in California and Governor Murphy here in New Jersey. So here's what's happening, the latest in California. And every night we're going to talk about some things happening in California and some things happening in New Jersey. We're going to leave New York out of it because New York doesn't exist anymore. There are no more cops on the streets. People are sleeping, urinating, defecating all over the place. You need tickets now. Get this, you need tickets. You got to buy, Tricia, you got to buy a ticket to go see the tree at Rockefeller Center. And after you buy the ticket, you got to have a mask, you got to have gloves, you got to have a spacesuit on, for goodness sakes. This is what has happened as a result of socialist, communist leaders. And that is a tragedy. So here's what's happening, Tricia, in California. And the reason why I mentioned California is that New Jersey usually follows suit. George Grayson, Los Angeles County's new top prosecutor, unveiled an agenda Monday that will usher in new changes to the local criminal justice system by his refusal to prosecute some crimes and other sweeping changes. So here's what he's going to refuse to prosecute. A few of the long list he has. Some assaults, some domestic violence, some drug offenses, in fact, many drug offenses. He is not going to prosecute any quality of life crimes, meaning if a person committing vandalism on your house, maybe breaking your car window, maybe urinating or defecating in the street, no more prosecution of quality of life crimes. Loitering on a street corner. How about loitering in front of your own house? So they're not going to prosecute these crimes in California anymore. Now, Police Academy 101 is called quality of life policing. You go after the low-level crimes, misdemeanors, disorderly persons offenses, and that in itself can lead to the prevention of much bigger crimes. So, Tricia, what we're going to see, I should say what we already have seen as a result of some of these new measures in Los Angeles, is a dramatic increase in crime regarding homicides, assaults, sexual assaults, harassment of people on the street, muggings. What I don't understand is how all this could be going on in California, and then you got a governor here in New Jersey and in New York and in other places saying, we've got to do what they're doing in California. That to me just doesn't make sense.
Well, exactly. Who in the world wants to lead by failure? I mean, what you just discussed in terms of not prosecuting quality of life crimes means that you have governors and law enforcement structures that are therefore sacrificing the quality of life for all of their citizens. This makes absolutely no sense. And we have empirical data to show that the opposite is true in terms of what works. We have, if you remember, Rudy Giuliani, America's mayor, and we wish him all a speedy recovery. Of course, he's suffering from COVID right now. But when you look at Mayor Rudy Giuliani's approach to staving off crime in New York, what he did was exactly the opposite, in that he prosecuted those quality of life crimes, those minor crimes, those misdemeanors that you just outlined, the broken windows, the small encroachments on real law enforcement parameters. That is what Rudy Giuliani was successful in doing in depressing the crime rate in New York. California is going in the absolute opposite direction. And I can't imagine anyone that would want to go to California. I think people are scrambling to get out. And this is exactly why.
If you just tuned in, ladies and gentlemen, we're campaigning. We are Campaign for America. And we are, I tell you, I'm getting tongue twisted tonight. And we are live streaming on YouTube and on Twitter and on Facebook. So any one of those three platforms, you could see us. And by the way, these broadcasts are archived and they are posted. So you could actually play them back anytime and continue to share. Our viewership numbers are skyrocketing. And this is good news because people are tuning in from all over the country. And as I've shared with you during the week, we have received emails from Colombia, and I'm talking about the nation of Colombia, from the Philippines, from the UK. So the word's getting out that we're on the air, and people are looking to us. Why? Because we are bringing credible information to those of you who tune in. Now, something else is going on here. We talked about for a few years the problem of illegal immigrants. President Trump launched a major program to ensure that we would be protected from illegal immigrants who are criminals. He did not say that all illegal immigrants are violent criminals. I will say that illegal immigrants are criminals by virtue of the fact that they're here illegally. But the Democrat, Socialist, Communist, and the press that helps them along doesn't believe they're criminals. I don't understand how one can break a law and not be called a criminal. Tricia, how does this happen? Somebody breaks a law. We're not talking about violent laws. We're talking about people who have illegally crossed our border. They are not classified or considered to be criminals, and therefore they're to be protected by the government and not prosecuted, while American patriots are being prosecuted by the government and not protected. Just help us understand this.
Yeah, and that's another way that it gets as backward as it comes. And, you know, what I will tell you is that I think we can approach this from a common sense perspective. You know, I teach my children to wait in line. I teach my children to obey laws. The rule of law is the rule of law, and crossing America's border illegally, it's just that, it's illegal. And name me one other country in this world that you can breach sovereign borders and not be prosecuted for a crime. And I mean, this is the wrong message to send to our children. It's the wrong message to send to those around the world who are waiting in line and doing it the right way, who are obeying the laws. What a slap in the face to every immigrant who strived and who sacrificed and who did it the right way and waited in line, waited their turn. What a slap in the face to those legal immigrants who make up the very fiber of America. My own grandparents on my mother's side immigrated from Sweden in 1907, and they did it the right way. That is the way to bring our American banner forward, not by teaching anyone to break the rule of law.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, I understand that you may be seeing the screens move from looking at the three of us to one of us and two of us. So we think we got that matter straightened out. So thanks for bearing with us. Now, I bring that issue up of illegal immigrants for a particular reason. Again, California and New Jersey, certainly Governor Murphy likes to follow the leader of California. A number of illegal immigrants who were released from Immigration and Customs Enforcement detention in California in October after a court order due to COVID safety regulations and problems. They have since been rearrested. Illegal immigrants. They were released because the governor over there in California says, well, we can't keep them in prison because of COVID. Now, that was just done in New Jersey. Governor Murphy's doing that. They want to release these illegal immigrants. Well, the crimes that they were arrested for were crimes of sexual assaults, drug offenses, muggings, and other crimes related to the assault of people, including, I think, here's one here, child sexual assault. So you've got these illegal immigrants detained, kept off the streets by the federal government. Governor Murphy in New Jersey, Governor Newsom in California says, we can't do that. They're going to get sick of the COVID, so we've got to release them. Or they have COVID and we got to release them. They're releasing them to do what, folks? To commit more crimes. This is why we have been opposed from day one to sanctuary cities. This is why we have been opposed to day one from these governors, including Governor Murphy in New Jersey, taking your tax dollars to pay for the legal fees of illegal immigrants. Meanwhile, now I want you to think about this. Meanwhile, small businesses in this state are being crushed. People can't get loans, they can't get grants, they can't get any help, they can't even get unemployment. But if you are an illegal immigrant, you'll get room, you'll get board, you'll get an attorney, and you'll get a pathway to a place that was once yours, because that exactly is unfair and it's wrong. And those are the things that we need to address, and we are continuing to address And one day, folks, one day, and maybe our guest coming on tonight could help us with this. One day, the leaders of the California GOP and the New Jersey GOP will have enough courage, how about a little bit of courage to stand up and to lead the party, to lead the people of this state to a place where they're going to be able to substantially fight back the totalitarian, draconian, socialist, communist rules that are now destroying their lives. Tricia Flanagan, you have a guest here tonight. He's been on before, but if you ever want to talk about American patriots who have taken the bull by the horns and who has gone the extra mile on behalf of the people, not only of this state, but of the country, I'm going to give you the honors of introducing this American patriot. Folks, you got to hear this story.
Oh, absolutely. It's my honor and my pleasure to introduce my friend, a friend to Campaign for America, a favorite guest of ours here on the show. And as you just described, this abdication of leadership in New Jersey and all across the country really has created an opportunity for true leaders to step up and to fill that gap. And that is exactly how I would describe David Winkler. He is a 2021 New Jersey state Senate candidate, and he is leading the charge in New Jersey to hold Governor Phil Murphy accountable for what is turning out to be, David, you'll elaborate on this, looks like federal level criminal charges are ready. You're poised and ready to bring those charges against Governor Murphy. I'm pleased to introduce you and to allow you the floor to discuss this very, very important and critical endeavor that you have to make sure that accountability is finally seen in New Jersey.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me again. To speak to both you guys' points in the beginning, you know, when we talk about the immigration issue, that's one of the areas I'm looking at the federal crimes for. It's underneath USC 1325, 1326. Excuse my dog that decided to go behind me here, right? That's my K9, by the way. She's a bomb sniffer. So, but anyway, yeah, so 1325, 1326 are the civil immigration laws, but they also carry criminal sides to it too, which I'm looking into on Governor Murphy, not only Governor Murphy, but his AG as well, for not following the federal statutes when it comes to immigration. One of the things I am looking at is punishing Governor Murphy, not really punishing him, but holding him accountable for those nursing home deaths, which I cannot look at state level statutes to hold him accountable for negligence or criminal homicide. I have to go federal with it because I do not trust the AG at the New Jersey level to be able to hold him accountable, nor do I trust the you know, any of these prosecutors here at the state level. So I have to go federal. The other one that I'm also looking at is deprivation of rights, which is actually another USC code, section 242, is another one that I'm looking at. Right now, I issued, or my campaign issued him a cease and desist order based upon his actions, recent actions, on what he did to Representative Matt Gaetz, the young Republicans in New York City, and he did so within my district. Or he attacked Jersey City, which is in my district, and it's not going to be I'm not going to stand for that kind of behavior in or around my district or anywhere in New Jersey, to be frank.
Dave, I want to talk a little bit about Matt Gaetz over there in Florida. He's a great guy. He's done a great job for this country. When he came here and he left, Governor Murphy had some pretty disparaging remarks about him, and also told him that he's not welcome to New Jersey. Well, Governor Murphy, I have a message for you. You're not going to be welcome in Trenton anymore. In fact, I don't think you should even be welcomed in this country. And I really mean that. I don't talk like that much, but to suggest that a congressman who is an honorable man came to this state, came to a fine city, and they did what? What did they do? They had an event, they did their thing, and they went home. But you don't tell anybody, Governor, that they're not welcome in this state. Who are you? How dare you represent me or Dave or Tricia or anyone in this state suggesting that any American citizen is not welcome in this state? So, you know what? That comes out of the mouth, not of an American patriot, Dave, meaning the governor. It comes out of the mouth of a socialist and a communist who thinks they could control our lives. And what you're doing is, I'm sure what you're addressing indirectly maybe, is that very fact that we have draconian, communist, socialist, agendized leaders who are looking to control our lives.
I mean, you're absolutely right. Actually, what I'm actually really doing is I believe in one standard of justice and the rule of law, right? I am not the attorney type. I am a law enforcement and military background. Nobody's above the law. And Governor Murphy and his AG need to understand that you will obey federal laws, regardless if you're at the state level or not. A lot of these things that he's doing is subverting federal laws and thinking that the state and him being a governor is going to protect him. And this is where I'm not playing games. And I think that our Republicans have been too comfortable in sitting back and allowing him to do things that he does not have the authorization for. Once again, I go back to the rally that I was at, where he's using local police as personal security protection details, right? That is using taxpayers' money and misappropriating taxpayers' money, because they've been there every day of the week at his house as local law enforcement, right? That is not their job as local PD to be protecting the governor. I'm point blank period. You can't tell me about that. I've already contacted their police officers or their police department over there near his house in Red Bank. I've already addressed this issue, that why are your cops on overtime sitting out there outside of the house? You know, obviously I got a pretty strong, leftist remarks from some of their police officers, but I will tell you that this needs to stop. The second thing was weaponizing Jersey City Police Department to go after a Republican fundraising gala. That is a politically motivated hit. That has nothing to do with his mask mandates, has nothing to do with his COVID-19 emergency orders, because I will tell you, just about 2 months prior, or maybe a month prior, if I'm going to get the total time frame right, that he held a mayor's ball with all Democrat mayors over here, no social distancing, no masks, did the same thing, but no peep for Murphy whatsoever. So once again, I'm able to make the case at the federal aspect that he's making, or that he's deprivation, or the deprivation of rights case here, underneath the color of law. And that's what I plan on bringing to the table. He has 10 days to respond to the cease and desist order. If he does not, I'm going forward.
Now, we've received, I'll tell you, maybe 1,000 messages by now from residents in New Jersey, just New Jersey, and many more from around the country. But, I always get the question, what can the people do? What can the public do? But there is a pathway where you could become very, very powerful. And I'm going to share with you, and Tricia, I know you'll jump on this because we've both been involved in politics. I've been elected to office 3 times. Tricia's run for a high office in this state. So the question that every citizen in this country, and particularly in New Jersey, has to ask themselves, what is it that politicians fear? And who are the politicians that are fearing who? So we have a situation where you got a governor, high-level political officials. They don't care about us. They don't live in our streets. They don't live in our towns. They simply don't care. They're arrogant. They don't care. So they sign a document that imposes draconian, socialist, communist, agendized regulations on us. And they feel, let them have a rally, let them make a little noise, and they'll go away. And frankly, that's what happens. So there is a way to deal with this. Now I'm going to make enemies. The way you deal with it, folks, is you've all got mayors and city councils. You go to those city hall meetings, and if you can't do it physically, you do it via Zoom or whatever, and you threaten them. You don't threaten them with assault or violence. You threaten to remove them from office. These are local politicians. I'm going to share something with you that my wife has shared with me and others. When we were talking about power, political power, on a local level, folks, take it from me. I'm a 2-term commissioner in the township of Nutley. I believe in term limits, and I left. But my wife has always said, see this, folks, I'm going to show you something. See my thumb, and you see my forefinger there? That is the amount of power that local politicians have. They have no power, none, other than rallying their troops, their supporters, and the money they need to get elected. Now, if you all, out there in each of your communities, and we at Campaign for America will help you do this. You get, I'm not talking about hundreds, maybe you need about 20, 25, and you start making some noise and you start letting them know that you're going to remove them from office, and you will organize and truly either be by recall or the next election, you're going to see them start knocking at the doors of the governor saying, hey, look, we're in trouble here. Now, don't go after all of them. Why? Because then you've united a group of people against you. Go after one. Just pick off one. All right. Just go after the one of your choice. And you start going after them like you're going after a bull during a bullet match. And you make it clear that that person, that individual who is too cowardly to stand up for you, who is weaponizing, as Dave said, the police to go after law-abiding citizens. I don't blame the cops. They're caught between a rock and a hard place. But you want power, folks? It's all about power. Remember, this is their power. And in between that thumb, they've managed to get us. But what we need to do is to broaden our power, because we, the people, not they, the government, we, the people, are in charge. Tricia, your ball.
Oh, what you just said is so powerful. And the time is upon us. 2021 is right around the corner. And we have a grand opportunity to not just replace Governor Phil Murphy with someone who is going to stand for we the people, but to replace the senators in our state legislature with people like David Winkler. And what will that do? Well, that will give the power back to us, just as you described. And I want to share something that we have to start doing now. And it relates to the county lines. I know we're going to talk about this in upcoming segments later in the weeks to come, but I think we need to build the momentum now. And what I mean by that is there are county lines that are responsible for the primary victors in almost every election that we have. The GOP picks their candidate, and most of the people that turn out for the primary, they vote straight down the line. That's how we get weak candidates that lose in the general election. That's exactly how we got a Governor Murphy. But this is our time. This is our moment. If we can get the rally cry out there now, this is not an empty threat. We as conservatives represent the 56 majority in our state. And if we start to mobilize now, and if we have a Buck the Line initiative that I started in 2020, we can move that forward, and we can make sure that those 12 people in a room do not choose these weak candidates that will not serve New Jersey. We have to start now to start registering folks for the Republican primary, and we have to get out the vote. That's our charge. That's our call. And that will be our victory if we can fulfill that.
Now, there are some political leaders out there who are really going out there representing the people. And I just came upon this press story out of the New Jersey Globe that former Assemblyman Jack Ciattarelli has told Governor Murphy to give up his salary. You know what? I think that's a great idea. You know, when someone is working for you and they're not performing, you're going to fire them. Well, we can't fire the governor until election day, but there can be some legislation passed for the future, or even now, for this guy to give up his salary. Now, Dave, a question to you. First of all, the process, you're going to go to federal court, I assume. And now the question that people have, I'm reading some of the feeds, do you have the evidence? Do you have enough evidence to bring before a prosecutor or a court and a jury, find this guy guilty?
Also, what people need to understand, there's a big process that goes into building federal cases to begin with, right? So yes, I do have enough evidence. Now, here's the thing, is finding prosecutors with the backbones to go up against mobbish governor types, right? I've seen this, I have buddies that have tried this with Governor Newsom. I've seen them try it with, Como types and other stuff like that. The biggest thing is finding people who are not swampish within the DOJ to actually go ahead and get this thing done. I think that there's a lot of things we don't see in the background of people, deals that are all the way up to federal level. I keep talking about Chris Christie. Chris Christie, I mentioned a thing that happened in 2012 where he knew that an FBI sting was going on before it happened. So these are things that I'm slowly, trust me, processes have to be done correctly. And there's certain types of people I'm dealing with to make sure that the process stays within us, and we're doing it by the book. Now, will I think that Governor Murphy will get indicted? I can't tell people that, because the rule, I believe in rule of law and due process and all that. Yeah, I mean, he's entitled to his constitutional rights as well. So I will say I will do my best to keep the integrity of the investigation under wraps. No leaks, no anything. It stays within the investigation area. It's not going to leave. And I will respect the constitutional rights of both the accused and whoever else that we bring in here. But I will tell you, I'm going to do my damnedest to hold them accountable at the federal level.
Well, we should hold all elected officials accountable. What's going through my mind too. I'm thinking, what else can the people do? What else can we do locally? Folks, believe me when I tell you, it's like a pyramid. All right, that the king is on top, and he brings the favors down. Very rare you're going to find politicians on all levels that are going to turn away from those trappings of the office. But here's something else you could do. You can write letters. Get a group of you together. Write a letter to your local political people. Ask them, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this here in Nutley, okay? I'm going to lead by example. I'm going to write a letter to the members of our Board of Commissioners. They're all my friends. They may not be my friends after I write them the letter, who knows? But I'm going to ask them just to do one thing. To introduce and pass a resolution condemning the actions of this governor, condemning the draconian communist socialist agenda that has caused heartbreaking numbers of business people here in the township of Nutley. Now, I'll tell you what, I'm not going to ask them to put the words communist and socialist in there, because frankly, that would take away from the true desire and intent of my letter, because the press and everybody else will jump on that and you know what they'll do with it. But what I will say in a very diplomatic way, a nice letter, share with them very briefly. Politicians don't like to read unless it's a contribution, unless it's a donation, they're not going to read anything we send to them. So you summarize in 1 or 2 paragraphs. This is what has happened to our communities. This is what's happening here. We need you to stand up, to speak out, and simply pass a resolution. I mean it, condemning the actions of this governor. Now, let's see what happens. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. Maybe I'll get a phone call saying, how dare you? Maybe I'll be ignored. Frankly, I don't care, because what we're doing here at Campaign for America is being your voice. And Tricia, what's heartbreaking is based on the letters and calls, people no longer have a voice. I mean, where is, I got to tell you, I wasn't going to say it, folks. I'm going to say it. Going to sound a little funny because I do want to lighten things up. But we have heard for a good year, where's Hunter? Remember Tricia, Dave, where's Hunter? Where's Hunter? Well, forget about where's Hunter. In New Jersey, especially if you're a Republican, the question's got to be, where's Doug? Where's Doug? Where is Doug Steinhardt? I like Doug. He's a gentleman, good family man, got nothing personal against him. But he has not led this party. Has not led the people to stand up. Now, Dave, I suggested something a few weeks ago, and look, you're a political leader. I'm going to ask you this question. I suggested that the New Jersey GOP chairman call every Republican elected official, candidate, whatever, influencer in this state. And one day, all of them, I mean all of them, the minority leader and this leader and senator this and senate that, all go to Trenton. And you stand on the steps of the State House and you take a picture and you really let loose on that governor. You let loose on him. That would send, I believe, and if I'm wrong, correct me, Dave, that would send a strong message to 2 people. One, a very strong message to the governor and his socialist party, but more importantly, a message to the people that elected them to office. What do you think, Dave?
I mean, I would absolutely love to do something like that, but we got to be intellectually honest with ourselves. Some of our leadership, and I'm going to be quite honest, are in bed with the Democrats. So going down to Trenton and making that kind of statement isn't something that they want to do. And I'm going to be quite honest. And this is where the people must actually vote in real Republicans and not these rhinos. I'm not going to sit here and name names, but I will tell you there's some that I would not show up at the steps because they feared what would take place if they were to be seen like that. And that's where I have the problem with our Republican Party here. Some of our leadership is not doing the right thing, and they're working against the Republican Party here. So
You know, we have a election coming up, 2021. Tricia, we have the gubernatorial race. We have other races, and you just touched upon this, and I know we're going to talk about it later on. The line, all right, in each county, you know, the line from governor's position all the way down to committee people. And there is a movement, not by Republicans, but interesting enough, by progressives to get rid of the line. Now, what do you think of that? I mean, could one imagine, David, I see a little bit of a smile on your face. Could one imagine us sitting down with progressives saying, look, we disagree with you on everything, but when it comes to this, this is going to break the back of the establishment in both parties. First, let's start with Tricia. Just talk a little bit about it, Trish. And then David, I know you're chomping at the bit to address it. Go ahead, Trish.
Sure, sure. And, you know, I think that this is part of the ultimate remedy that we need, especially in New Jersey, because when you think of it like this, there are 21 counties in New Jersey, and every one of those county chairs is beholden to the chairman, and that's Doug Steinhardt, despite the fact that Doug Steinhardt has done nothing for New Jersey to move our causes forward as conservatives. I will share with you that I also, like Doug, on a personal note, I've gotten to know him over the years in my journey, and he gave a great speech at the last New Jersey GOP convention, and he said we're unapologetically conservative now. The problem is that those were just words. There was no meat on the bones of that statement. And here's the issue. When we have lines, the political parties that are in those 21 counties that roll up to the chairmanship, they are the ones that have, for the 49th year in a row, they've chosen losing federal candidates. In what universe is nearly a half a century of losses a prescription for moving forward in the same way? What we have to do is put the power back in the hands of we the people. That means getting rid of the lines. That means giving every candidate the same opportunity to appeal to the voters of New Jersey, and that way they win on merit and conservative values when they earn that GOP nomination. That's what we have to do moving forward. We don't agree with progressives, like you said, on anything at all, but when truth is spoken, we have to get behind it, and this is the way forward to make sure that we have free and fair elections and that we finally win as GOP candidates.
David?
I mean, I agree with you both. It's a little dangerous, you know, at the same time, I would also say, devil's advocate, it's a little dangerous for me in Hudson County because I'm dealing with the huge progressive movement. When you're looking around Hoboken, you're looking around West New York, Union City and all that, and you had a candidate who almost defeated the incumbent as a progressive during the primary. And one of the biggest things he was trying to push was getting rid of the lines and he may have defeated Albio if those lines were gone, which would have been a scary, scary idea. So, I mean, I agree and disagree sometimes a little bit with this because I think we just need to fine tune the process a little bit and have more say at the policy committees. Because here's a problem that I had is why are we looking at money over policy at these policy committees or who best fits our county or, you know, stuff like that. When I was seeing that, I think Tricia can kind of remember this aspect. There was a certain individual I won't name, but he pretty much got the lines based upon how much money he brought to the table rather than what he was going to do for this state. And that was something that really bugged me.
Well, you know, politics makes strange bedfellows, as they say. But here's what we need to do, folks. To begin with, look at Campaign for America. We're very, very, very strong. We have grown in leaps and bounds, and we are leading the charge here in New Jersey. And some other states we're now getting a footprint in, but here in New Jersey, we're leading the charge. And I've gotten calls. Look, I've gotten calls from chair people in this state who have worked with the Republican Party that have told me quietly and respectfully that they've given up. They're just doing everything on their own. And Trish and I have mentioned those people who have worked very hard as Republicans. And we've also made clear that Campaign for America is not in competition with the New Jersey GOP or what's left of it, but we're filling a gap. And we're making sure that the people of this state that are looking toward defeating socialism and communism and keeping capitalism and free enterprise and freedom and liberty, we're making sure they have a voice. We're making sure that we're going to be out there and fight that good fight of faith. Now, before we wrap things up, I want to add a couple of things. folks, when we talk about socialism and communism, believe me, this is serious now. You know, we've talked about things like this for many years. The last time that it was so very serious was during the Reagan years. And you've heard me mention that back in the 60s and 70s, when he was a representative of General Electric, he went out and he worked for that company to advance their product, but they gave him the green light to go after the Soviet Communist Party that had great influence here in the United States. The problem in the beginning that Reagan had was that the American people, they didn't believe it. They truly didn't believe that the Soviet Communist Party had a footprint here in America. And they did. And they did. So Reagan got rid of them. He got rid of them. And we had a good run of it until the Democrats took control again during the Clinton administration. And of course, most of it during the Obama administration, when the Chinese Communist Party decided that they were coming after us. And we're going to talk about that in depth as we go on. We gave you a lot of that in the past, but they're here. They're here. The Chinese Communist Party has got a footprint in America, particularly in our colleges. So what are we going to do? I've talked to people from unions, police unions, carpenter unions. We've talked to everybody, letting you know that you're going to be out of work. You're not going to be working for yourself anymore if you own a company or a small business. You're going to be working for the state. And if you think that your taxes are ever going to go down, they're not going to go up either, because you're not going to have a home. Because what the state will do, they will come and take your home. They're going to take everything, your bank accounts, your home, your education, your jobs. I get sick and tired of hearing people tell me it cannot happen here. Again, and we're going to have somebody on soon from Venezuela, from Cuba, from any place that has been overrun by socialism and communism. The first words out of their mouth will be for you to hear, we said it would never happen to us. Us, U.S. Put an A on the end of that. It would never happen to the USA. It is happening. Well, that's it, folks. Dave, I just want to so much thank you for joining us and for really, your profile and courage. You're taking a huge step, and we're going to pray for you. We will get the word out for you. The media is watching tonight because they were very interested in what you had to say. The media, of what's left of it, I don't know if any of these people, we can trust a few of them. You know, go ahead, Dave.
If I can give you a little tidbit too, there's more than just this coming down the pipe. Look towards, and I'm just going to give you a little hint for, a little teaser, but trafficking is coming down the pipe as well. It's going to start in Hudson County. I'm coming after some people for trafficking in the state wage area, not human trafficking. So stay tuned, and it's going to be a way that I'm going to be chipping away like a Giuliani against the mob.
Well, listen, we thank you so much for what you're doing. And hey, Trish, any words before we sign off?
Oh, no, just I'm so encouraged by action that's finally being taken. And this is, again, you're not going to hear this about this anywhere else. And you are the news now, just as we are. And if you share this, share, as we always say, make sure that people know about this. Make sure that your friends and your family and your associates, all it takes is one button to push, and that's the share. Make everybody know that finally, not just are there problems out there, but there are solutions that are being delivered by great people like David Winkler.
Every one of you viewing, I'm just looking at the newsfeed. It's not stopping. It's just continuously going. And this is just Facebook. Every one of you viewing, you can do something. You will hear from Campaign for America quite often ask you to step up and to do something. You will not hear come out of our mouths that we want your money. We're all tired of that, all right? It seems to me that these political entities believe that money is the solution to our problems. What is the solution to our problems is digging way down deep into the heart, the soul, and the spirit of the American people. And if we do that, if we dig, we're going to find the treasure. We're going to find the treasure of Americans who love their liberty and their freedom, and who maybe are waiting a little bit too much long for it to happen. For what to happen? For their own personal freedom to be taken away, for their own liberties to disappear. We are here, and now is our time. I've said that. Now is our time. As it was the time of the American patriots in the 1700s and the 1800s, the 1900s. in the 20th century, and now is our time in the 21st century to make a footprint in this country. So what can you do? I've given you some suggestions. Make a call, write a letter, have 5 or 6 of you sign a letter to your local elected officials. I'm going to draw one up this week and get it out to them. Ask them, you know what? We're tired of it. Our lives are being affected. You're supposed to be our voice. You're not supposed to be beholding to some politician up the chain of command there. You're beholding to us, we the people. They'll probably ignore you. They'll ignore you. Maybe you wait till election time. They won't ignore you. But the fact is, do it. Let them know that you have a voice and you're going to use it. That's number one. Number one is to pray. I've always believed in the power of prayer. You pray for guidance. You pray for wisdom. Pray for protection. Pray for the people like Dave who are going forward. I mean, really full steam ahead. Dave gets nothing out of this other than the joy of knowing that he did something in service to his country, to other people. There's no greater joy than that. So step up and speak out. Now, become part of Campaign for America. And like I said, you're not going to ask us, you're not going to hear us ask for money. It ain't going to happen. But we will ask you for your time, for you to put your skills, your God-given talents together and to work with us to do what? To advance the America First agenda of President Trump, to advance the shining city on a hill agenda of President Ronald Reagan, to advance the agenda, that great, wonderful agenda of 1,000 points of light, President George Bush. And we could go on and on and on about the things we can do to ignite a flame across this country. And you know what I want to see happen? Tricia, I'm going to ask you to weigh on this too, and then we'll end it. I want to see New Jersey be that shining city on a hill for America. As America is the shining city on a hill for the world, why can't New Jersey be the shining city on a hill for the United States of America?
We absolutely can be. We have a ready voter base that is just thirsty for the right candidate. We've seen in other elections in past, in 2018 and 2017, we've seen the only difference that's been made with the Republican losing is that they haven't embraced the true constitutional conservative values that we're putting forth. When that happens, when we get that candidate, when we get more candidates like David coming up, stepping up, and when we the people get behind them, that is when New Jersey will truly lead the way. The time is ripe. We are ready. Let's roll.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining Tricia Flanagan and myself here on Campaign for America. We are on every single night, Monday through Friday, unless otherwise posted, on YouTube, on Twitter, which is Periscope, and on Facebook Live. Live streams, folks. These broadcasts are archived, so you can actually take one and you could share it anytime you want. You could view it anytime you want. Have a watch party, for goodness sakes. Let your friends and neighbors view it. As I'm reading the feed, I see there are people that are telling me they have 6, 7 people in their homes watching this together. So we need you to do that, okay? To step up, to speak out, and we'll be with you. United, we're very, very strong. United, we're able to topple those individuals who are beginning to control our lives, folks. I don't like anybody to control my life. The only one that controls my life is God Almighty, and my wife at times. She has a right to. I am her husband. And I would add also my German Shepherd. Those of you who own dogs, you have to understand, I'm sure you do, David, sometimes our dogs control our lives, all right? So we make you laugh a little, folks. But thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you at 6:30 p.m. tomorrow night here on Campaign for America. Email us. You want to get involved, email us. Mail, M-A-I-L, at Rogers, R-O-G-E-R-S, for F-O-R, America.us. Mail at Rogers4America.us. If you missed me saying that, roll the video back. You'll hear me say it again, and we'll post it on our social media platforms. Thanks again, folks. God bless you. God bless America. Remember, the chief end of man is to love and glorify God forever. Have a great